Hey, BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for some literary ramblings. So, I just got off, and I just took a shower. That's why my hair is wet right now. But yesterday was freezing cold and wet. Luckily, I didn't have to go outside and bring the carts in. They just had me in the lobby, as usual. And then, the rest of the time was indoors. I did like the floor sweep, and I did go outside to, of course, to collect or recycle because one of our recycling bins is outside, but it's not like it's in the it's still near the store, so I didn't have to go that far. But I am so tired, and I'm so glad that I am actually off the next few days. I took off because my parents are going to see my sister because actually my sister's brother-in-law, he's still going to have his wedding with only a few family members. And my sister is tested, and my sister and my brother-in-law are being tested. I'm sure their family is being tested too. And my parents just got tested. So, and it's going to be like a really teeny tiny small gathering. They still want to have the celebration. So my mom and my dad are going to go to help babysit the kids. Although my sister, and rightfully so, I think she's a little apprehensive about going and being around because it's still going to be around a few people, and I think she's very nervous. And she has a 6-month-old baby, so she's apprehensive. But they are going to if their test is, I think that it would be. I think it's negative negative meaning that you don't have it. If it turns out they don't have it, then they will decide to come for Christmas, and it'll be just our little group. My parents, myself, my sister, and brother-in-law, and then their 3 kids. Because we already did that once back in September at the beach at the beach in North Carolina. So, and we're all very careful. The only person in my family that my mom and sister both worry about not being careful is my dad. But I think he's a lot more careful than they give him credit for. So, and then I work at, grocery store where I gotta be careful, and so does my mom. She works at the hospital. She's a nurse, but so she and I both automatically have to be careful, whether we believed it or not, which is so ridiculous. There's people that do not believe that this pandemic exists. They, I haven't seen as much lately, but, there are still people that think, oh, this isn't real, and I'll just wear a mask because everyone else is, but I don't believe in it mentality. And that's why it still has not been combated, and why unfortunately, it's gotten worse. So now I'm worried that there's no point in getting excited, no point even thinking about the possibility of my sister coming, because who knows, maybe by Christmas time we'll be on lockdown again. We don't know. Although we kind of are. There's our restrictions here in North Carolina about things like just, and they still are want us to stay inside, but it's not as bad as like a few months ago when we were like, you cannot leave the house, unless you still are working, the stores are closed. It's not like that. It's not like what was going on in the UK, which I think that ended. I think they're not on lockdown anymore. But anyway, my mom's not entirely wrong when she says that, that I'm lucky because I can easily just get on my computer or read one of my books or something, to keep me distracted. But that's just a distraction. Doesn't mean I'm any less restless or any less wishing I could spend time with my friends and family and I wish I could hug people. It's easy for me to get distracted by a book or a TV show, because, it's a lot of us booktubers, probably it's all we got. It's the only thing we can do is to just surround ourselves with books, because it's easy, it's like having a friend when you're reading a book and spending time with these characters, even though it's not completely the same thing as the real life people in your life, but it's close, it's satisfying enough, at least, to tide you over. Although I know when this all started, I know a lot of people were having trouble getting back into reading and feeling like and getting to feeling like they were in a slump and just, which I get. I've been fortunate enough not to ever get to that point to feel that way, but I know I know there are people that did really struggle with that in the beginning of all this. Probably because they felt like I think some people might have felt guilty that they're reading when they should be paying attention to the news. And also it's a bad situation, so it's kind of, so for, I think for a lot of people it is hard to read a fun, happy book when that is, or a book about, an ideal world when we're in such a crappy situation. Anyway, so I'm hoping that they'll come, but I'm not going to get my hopes up too high because, I mean, there is a possibility that we could go into full lockdown, and there's a possibility that they could test. Like I said, I think if they tested, I think positive would mean that they could have the virus. I mean, I hope not, especially because my sister has a 6-month-old baby, but that also means that even if they do come, the rest of the Wilson side of the family won't be able to come because they all want to come and see see Charlotte and the kid and Harrison and Daniel, and of course my sister and brother-in-law. But I mean, let's face it, everyone wants to see the baby and wants to see cute little baby girl Charlie. But because this is still going on, and my sister still wants to be, even if they're negative and they don't have it, I imagine she still would want to be careful and not risk exposing my grandmother, who is in that age range of people that could easily get it and could really harm them. And my cousins, they're college kids. One of them got out and graduated college, but they're high school and college kids, so they're, not to say all kids that are in that age group are like that, but a lot of them, sometimes I think they feel like I'm invincible, I can't get it. Because there are a lot of people that, here in our town that are the college age group that were still partying and going to spring break and stuff. But anyway, enough talk about that. Let's talk about what I am currently reading. So these are the 3 books, although really I'm only reading this one, and I'm just showing you the spine because it's a naked hardback. I don't know if it ever had a cover or not, but this is, even if I might end up donating this, putting this back in the donation pile and giving it back to either giving it to Black Castle Bookshop or eventually when they take donations again, giving it to the roast office. Because you have to call in advance if you want to bring in donations to the Black Castle Bookshop. Because, and even if I like this, the cover, it's so boring and plain. It's so ugly because there's nothing on there. I don't like it when it's plain. That's why I'm willing to deal with the dust jackets moving around and stuff and getting a little ruined on the edges because they have a pretty picture on it. But this is so boring and plain, The only thing they have is the spine. And it's not even a pretty color, If it was a nice, pretty color, then maybe. Not that there's anything wrong with beige and black, but I want a better. If I wanted to keep this, I would want a better edition of it. Especially since it's like something that actually has something on the cover instead of just this plain naked hardback. I mean, it's not even like if it was a small size book, kind of like a tiny book, kind of like my copy of Tooth and Claw, then maybe I would keep it. But I want to, if I'm, because I am liking The Last Tycoon. It's really, I didn't care for This Side of Paradise, but I am liking The Last Tycoon, which is the one I'm currently reading. I read This Side of Paradise a couple months ago. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It was just kind of like, eh. But I do like The Last Tycoon a little bit better. Although I think it's actually called The Love of the Last Tycoon. That was his last novel, and it's incomplete. That's why it's in this this bind up, this combined with another this side of paradise, because it's not a novella, but it's an incomplete novel. Sadly, Fitzgerald passed away before he could finish it, but I think most copies of the book have the notes on what he would have written if he had continued, if he hadn't died. Like, I think this one does have it after chapter 6. It does have all these, like, notes and stuff, which that's really cool. Like, the only reason I'm hesitant to get rid of it is because it has that. And this is also This Side of Paradise is his first, and The Last Tycoon is his last. So I'm thinking, oh, I should keep it, it's his first and his last books he ever published, But like I said, I would want to get a better copy of this, one that actually has something on the cover instead of just blank, But because I think even back in the day, I think the cover still would have had something on it, But in The Last Tycoon, it's basically, you kind of have two perspectives. Like, part of the story is told in first person with this young girl, this teenage girl. What is her name? This teenage girl. She is the daughter of Cecilia, and her father is either a director or a producer, famous director or producer. And she meets this other producer, who is the other main character. His name is, Monroe Star. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but it's not spelled like Star, but sometimes names that you pronounce it one way, but it's spelled differently than how you think it should be spelled. So I'm just calling him Star, Monroe Star, and he's a Hollywood producer, and he's a very fully realized character. He knows what he wants, probably isn't going to change at this point, and he was married to this woman who I think she died or they got divorced, and he comes across this actress from England who looks just like her. And he has a little bit of an affair with her, or a little fling with her, and he's trying to get her to be in his movie, but she's not interested, and she just wants to hang out with him and spend time with him, and she does like him, has feelings for him, and he really is into her, but she's not seriously as committed to him as he is to her. And so that's kind of where we're not with Cecilia, is his story, but then the rest of the story is Cecilia's point of view, and she's observing everything. She's as one reviewer put on Goodreads, she's kind of a fly on the wall in the story. She's not an actress or a writer or a director or a producer or anything, but she's part of the Hollywood scene because of her dad. And she has a crush on Monroe, but he doesn't see her in that way. He doesn't like her in that way. He just considers her a friend. And like I said, he's pining after this girl, Kathleen, who looks like his ex-wife. And it's just very interesting getting the Hollywood scene, exploring the Hollywood scene in the 30s, and I think it's the 30s. And I love stories where you have those rich Sami people from back in the day, and just seeing their interactions and hearing their conversations. I just find it so amusing and entertaining to read about this. It's like they had their own language. But at the same time, you also get frustrated with them, because he's like obsessed with this girl, and and he's like, she has feelings for him, but she's like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to stick around forever. And she feels like he doesn't really love her, or and eventually he's gonna move on. But they're just kind of having fun and enjoying the moments they have together. But eventually she's gonna go back to England. So it's also kind of frustrating, because he's like, I think he lives in his own little world where he thinks, where he's, no one says no to him, and he's used to getting what he wants. And like I said, I feel bad for Cecilia because I think she's infatuated with him, but he sees her just as a friend. Like they've known each other their whole lives, but he doesn't have any attraction or feelings for her. And she's also very young. I think she's like late teens in the present of the story. So I do, like I said, I definitely like it better than The Sign of Paradise. And again, the only reason I'm hesitant to get rid of this one is because it's his first and his last novel. But again, it's really more about that. I just want, if I did decide I liked it enough, I would rather get a better copy, a different one with an actual picture on it instead of just this blank hardback. And like I said, I could get I could look on thrift books or something. But if I got this one on thrift books, I would probably want to get something else with it. I want to just see, that's the thing. I don't want to. When I buy books, I have to always I feel the need to buy another book, because if it's a book that, yes, I want to get it and I enjoy it, but it's not like my all-time favorite book, but I still would like to, which probably is not the best mentality. I mean, I'm aware that I don't have the best spending habits, and if I'm not as in love with it, then I probably don't really need it. So maybe one day I'll buy another copy, but I think I might donate this when I'm done with it. But like I said, maybe I'll buy, or if I see it at Books A Million, I'll buy it, but I won't buy it by itself. I'll buy it with another book that I'm really excited about. But again, that's probably ridiculous. I probably just shouldn't get it at all. I should just donate it and be done with the book and just be glad I read it. I feel like I should have this as bookends to my Fitzgerald child, which would make sense because they're together, so they aren't separate books, so they can't technically be bookends to Fitzgerald's work. But I would be interested to have two different, separate versions of these two books. But again, I probably shouldn't. If I'm not that into it, I can at least say that I read his first and his last novel. So I want to finish this in the next couple days, and then I will read A Christmas Carol, and this edition. I will read this, although I might wait until my mom and dad get back, because especially, although I don't know if I could, because they're, the kids they're little, they're toddlers. So they're not going to appreciate it as much. They would rather it would probably be better just to get them to watch the movie version of Christmas Carol. This doesn't even have pictures in it. I was hoping it would have some of the original illustrations, but it doesn't. So, but this one is so pretty. But, I don't know if they would actually really be that into it anyway, this story, and maybe we need to wait a few more years. Like I said, I would love for my dad to read this and just do a reading performance of it, like as if he was narrating it as an audiobook. It was so cool though, having this, and then and reading it, and then having that movie, the Man Who Invented Christmas. It's interesting, especially because according to that movie, he struggled a lot with the ending, coming up with it. And originally, according to the movie, so I don't know how accurate. I'm sure it's pretty accurate, but there might be some elaboration, exaggeration and stuff. But according to that movie, he struggled a lot, and he almost was going to end it with Tiny Tim dying, but then a lot of people weren't. Again, according to that movie, there were people like his friend, who I don't remember his name, and that one girl that was a maid in their household, who was from Ireland, where, like, you can't have Scrooge you can't have Tiny Tim die, you have to have Scrooge save Tiny Tim. And he's thinking that, oh, no, he can't change. And I think which I think that was kind of connected to his relationship with his father, with Charles Dickens' relationship with his father. I think that's why he had that mentality, and I think that's why that kind of played into that movie is, his parents showing up for Christmas and, his issues with his father and everything, and how his father was in debtor's prison, and how he couldn't, which makes me wonder. I think that because I know that's what Little Dorrit is kind of about, where this woman's father is in debtor's prison, and she lives with him in the prison and works for a living. So I'm wondering if that is kind of his, and something for his father, and kind of like an answer to his feelings on that now. Because he was in the movie, The Man Who Invented Christmas, he was pretty angry and frustrated and upset, still holding a grudge against his father because he had to go in the workhouse, and he, So I'm wondering if Little Dorrit and this book were kind of about that, his issues, him dealing with that. Or at least that part of the story. So anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna read this soon. I'm reading The Last Tycoon, and then I'm gonna read this. And then I'm also I'm still working my way through the Count of Monte Cristo, and again, I've only been reading little bits of it, so it's not enough for me to really talk about it. Because it's only like a little bit at a time I'm reading it. I need to really just go through like several days where I read several chapters. But I haven't basically I haven't read anything since my last Literary Ramblings update video. So I don't have anything to report except for what I already said in that video, which is that the son or the grandson of Edmond Dantes' boss. Edmund's boss is, he's interested in Villefort's daughter. He's in love with her, and they want to get married, and but she's engaged to this other guy who her grandmother approves of, and the grandmother just died of poison. And my first thought was that maybe Valentine, Villefort's daughter, is not so innocent. And that maybe she was so desperate. Like, maybe she's just a really good actress. Like, I'm still not entirely convinced that idea is out the window. I think and that would be great in the story, that kind of twist of the idea of, oh, Valentine's not so innocent, and that she was just pretending, or maybe her upset feelings were really feelings of guilt, and that she's just pretending that, and doesn't want Morel to think badly of her, and think that she's a murderer. So I'm still holding on to that theory, but I could be wrong. I probably am, but, I think that'd be really cool too. A cool twist if that's the case. But one day once I finish this, one day I'm going to have to read it again after I finish it. Not right after, of course, because this is a chunker, and I don't want to be, stuck another several years reading this book again. I just need to slowly work my plan for next year is just increase the number of the length of the pages. Like, start small and with the 400 to 500 pages, and then just slowly work my way up to over 1,000 pages, and that might help. And it's not, the problem for me isn't that the books are hard to read. Except for if you're like the ones that are hard to read, like I have trouble with Paradise Lost. But that's because it's epic poetry, and I'm not used to epic poetry. And it's, something that I do better when someone I can talk to about someone. That's why I want my dad to read it. So maybe in January I'll bring it up to him again, and, I'll tell him, okay, you need to read this with me because I'm totally confused. Like, I have some basic ideas of what's going on. Like, I know what's going on in Paradise Lost. I do. It's just, like, certain things. Like, I don't know exactly 100% everything that's being said in there. And that's not even a 500 plus page book. I mean, and it's not that hard, it's a poem. So the way it's written it's not as much to read, and you could get through it quickly. Just reading the thing. But these kinds of books, they're readable. Like, Stephen King is very readable. Charles Dickens is readable, although he's very wordy. And today's audience, and going by today's standards, like him and this guy right here could, they could simply say, they could really simplify some of the sentences that they take, like, a whole paragraph to describe something like a chair. They could easily simplify it. But, I also love that writing style, too. And once you get used to it, it actually feels very readable. It's just a lot of pages. And sometimes there are moments that aren't the most exciting, sometimes, or sometimes there's so much word just to describe something, so many words used to describe something that, like, I get lost in the words. And I don't completely absorb what's going on in the scene. Or at least I get the basics of what's going on, but I don't get the whole story. Like, I don't get what is this person's connection, who is this person, what's going on in the scene, what are they talking about. I don't always 100% get the big picture, especially because the writing is so wordy. But if I read this without any distractions, then I can kind of figure it out. And I cannot read it when I'm tired. Like, right now would not be a good time to read it because I'm feeling the tiredness. So I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to. I'm looking at the time on my screen, and I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to feed my dogs. Now I know how to do it. It's like some parents are going, and part of the reason I'm not going is because they need someone to watch the dogs, and my sister and brother-in-law do not have a fence in their yard, so they can't. Although I think they do. I think my mom, last I heard, that they do have a fence. I heard that but it would just be too much trouble to bring the dogs along, so I'm staying home for that. But I'm hoping that they'll come for Christmas. I'm still hoping, as long as they don't test that they haven't or could potentially be carriers of the virus. Hopefully they won't be. Because I do understand that, this has caused a lot of problems and a lot of death, and I don't blame her for not wanting to come if they have it, so obviously, but hopefully they'll be good. So yeah, again, and I also want to work on the idea of, like, I struggle with, I think part of the feeling that I have of not being able to catch up and not being part of the conversation, and part of, like, when it comes to certain types of books, I'm always feeling like I can't really describe it, but there's always a sense of, there's always another, like, there's a feeling, the closest I can describe it is feeling left out. Feeling like there's so many stories, I want to be part of so many, fan groups, and I want to be part of the conversation, and I feel like I'm missing out, and I'm always catching up, and, I almost feel like I'm never reading. I'm always feeling unsatisfied. There is a little niggling of unsatisfaction sometimes when I'm reading, because I feel like there's always something that and not just the new books, old books too, old stuff, like, that's really popular, or has just become popular again, or is still popular from before, from back in the day, back in the 80s or the 90s. Like, I want to read, so I'm definitely trying to catch up. I always feel like I'm trying to catch up. And it's not that my reading is not, it's not that I don't love what I'm reading usually, it's just that I always feel like it's this feeling of wanting to be part of the conversation and being part of this sacred group. The group, especially when it comes to fantasy, particularly fantasy and classics, which those are most of the books I read other than historical fiction and horror. And the same thing with like Stephen King. Stephen King, which is a combination of horror and fantasy. Like I always feel like I always feel left out, like I need to catch up, I need to be part of. But then a lot of times what I need to work on doing is getting better at taking notes when I'm reading, just so I can maintain what I'm reading and the information so I can actually participate in the discussions. And it also doesn't help that sometimes it's also the people that I'm friends with, but they're not part of my core group of friends. My core group, because those are people I talk to every day, and they know my way of thinking and stuff. We know each other really well. Everybody, everybody has groups of people that they feel, or a person they feel the most comfortable with, that they can have deep conversations with, and they can really dive deep. Like I can really talk to, Terry from Florida about like a TV show that we both have gotten into. I mean, we still will talk about our frustration with Once Upon a Time. We really would go into these deep discussions about Gotham and stuff. I want that with certain kinds of books. But I'm also really bad at doing that. And I need to get better at it. But I'm also, the other problem is I'm better at one-on-one conversations with people, where it's just me and that person. Like, I'm better at that than just commenting on someone's video. I mean, I always try to get better at that, and I also try to get better at responding to you guys, because you guys, I still but it's a bit of a struggle, and it's something I want to work on. This year, that's one of my main things. It's something I want to work on, and I want to get better at focusing on a lot of books that are big, and it will take me like years to get them finished, because I'm getting distracted by other books. That's also partly why I like watching those videos where people talk about the big books that they're reading and big books they're getting into, because I'm always looking for new ideas to get better. But really, at the end of the day, I think it's up to you. It's up to me to, follow through with these rules. Not rules, but these guidelines or these suggestions to improve your reading with bigger books. It's up to myself. It's up to me. It's up to you to get better at it. To find, discipline yourself to focus only on the book, because I get easily distracted by TV shows, and it's something, or movies or something. Of course, months like this, it's probably not I feel like I can give myself a, leniency, because it is Christmas. Just because I haven't been able to spend as much time with family and travel as much, I still, all the Christmas specials on TV are still on TV, I still have to go to work. And, my parents are still going through the motions, of our Christmas, what we do for Christmas. Even if when people come over, people are visiting for the holidays, my parents are still going through the motions of the stuff that we do when that happens. But so, actually, which leads me to what I want to do I don't know if I'm going to have 3 videos, make it a trilogy of videos, or just part 1, part 2, where I talk about all the series that I want to start this year, and then the series that I want to continue. And I might do I might do a video where I talk about the books in the series where I've started the first book, but I've since stepped back from it. I haven't come back to it yet, but I do need to continue with it. And then I also thought about, I just literally just thought about that I might do a video about standalones as well. Standalones I want to read, like priority standalones. I might make this video, I might start filming this video now, but I might just wait until sometime tomorrow, because the tiredness is really hitting me right now. I'm kind of sluggish right now as I film this video, but or at least, I don't know, I might, yeah, I think I might film real quick a video. I might film a video where I talk about my series that I need to start the first book, and then like get it done before I feed the dogs, because I'm assuming I'm probably gonna have to feed the dogs now that I know how they feed them and stuff. Unless mom and dad come home in the next few minutes, which I'm kind of hoping they don't, because then they'll interrupt the video and I'll have to respond to them, and they don't have any way. Which actually, I should probably go ahead and text my mom real quick. Well, although I don't know, because then she might be like, well, all of the worst that although she might just be like, oh, well, don't forget to feed the dogs. But anyway, so I'm gonna stop right there, stop rambling. So I hope you liked this video. Like I said, this is probably how it would be if I could make a vlog. If I knew how to make a vlog, this would probably be how I would be on a vlog. So anyway, so these once again, these are the books I'm currently reading. Like I said, mostly I'm working on finishing this one. And then I'll start this one next. But I want to get this one read while my parents are out of town. Helping my sister out. I want to read a good chunk of this one, The Count of Monte Cristo, before they come, because I might still end up reading this in January. I won't finish this year, but I might read it by next year. I just want to get this done. And like I said, when I finally get it done, I'm going to have that weird feeling that I get whenever I'm like, as I always say, I feel like it's a mixture of relief that I'm finally done with and being like sad that I'm done, sad that I'm done with it. Like, I feel like it's in between where it's like, wow, I'm done with it. What do I do now? It's like, oh, and I can't believe I'm done kind of feeling, if that makes any sense. Okay, so if you guys weren't too bored with my video, please give it a thumbs up. And click subscribe if you have not already. Click the bell notification below if you want to know when I post new videos. And I hope you are wearing your mask, because this pandemic is still going on, and washing your hands. And I hope you are still enjoying your reading. I would love to know what you're reading. Feel free to share in the comments below. And I hope you are enjoying your holiday despite our current situation in the world. And I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!